let's get into this oval review. I apologize for not doing last week's episode, but I didn't get a chance to take my notes, and I meant to go back and just breeze through the episode and take some quick notes, but I didn't get around to that. And by the time I thought about actually doing it, it was almost time for the next episode. So I'll just start out with the second episode, the second half of this season. So we start out with Kyle and Jean had lifted up that sheet. Big mistake. She should have just left it alone. Once she saw blood, she should have just like played it off and been like, I'm gonna go about my business. So now she's caught up in this mess. Kyle tells her that um, Denise was a Russian spy who tried to kill the president. And Jean is still terrified though, because who wouldn't be terrified after seeing a severed head? Um, so he instructs her to go in and clean up the stain, what she calls red wine, and he goes on and he finishes. He wills that out, and that what's left of Denise, he wills her out and puts her in a car, loads her in a car so he can finish up that mess. So Jean goes in the bedroom. She tries to clean the stain, and another maid comes in and starts asking questions. Well, do you need some help? What's happening? And Jean says she doesn't need any help. She's just trying to get some red wine out. And the other maid's like, well, that's never going to come out. And finally, other maid, she leaves, and Jean is just, she's a mess. It's just like, she got herself in a mess. And I said, well, you should have just minded your own business. The place is crazy. Just mind your own business, keep it moving. So Richard and Nancy, they're still at the police station. They're waiting on Barry to be released, and Nancy is saying, well, I know that was my knife. I recognize the handle. And so Barry is finally released, and he's telling him, well, I don't know anything about that money that was in the drawer. Yeah, it was like probably like about $100,000. And then he remembers that Picky told him about Kareem being a drug dealer. And so so Sam takes him back home, and he tells Richard that he got his job back and all that. And Richard seems reluctant to take the job back. And under circumstances, I can understand why he'd be reluctant, because that White House, that first family, is nuts. Now Barry, he's saying that he wants to apologize to Kareem, so he will drop the charges, but that's not how that's gonna work out, and you'll see that at the end. So speaking of Kareem, over at the pharmacy, Sharon, she's at the pharmacy counter, and judging from her expression, we know that something is going on. So this customer comes in for a prescription, and Sharon is like, she is obviously indisposed. And the customer, she starts to about, well, I get a discount. I get a discount. So Kareem pops up from under the counter, wiping his mouth. And so he politely shoos the customer out of this pharmacy. And he is just like saying the most. He's talking about, oh, what was like fixing a broken faucet with my mouth. And I'm like, some of the lines that'll be in these shows are wow, very extra. Tyler Perry does the most with these scripts. So back at the White House, Victoria comes in, and she is, of course, angry on everything her mother says. And I said, Victoria can talk bad to everybody else, but she can't set her mother straight. And her mother is somebody who really does need to be talked to harshly. So anyway, Victoria tells Jean to leave. And then she goes in the bathroom and she takes a pill. I was gonna say it was a Valium, but as crazy as Victoria is, it probably is something else. And then she goes and she wrecks her closet. And then she goes back into the bedroom and she finds a glass and she determines that it was used by Denise and she gets even angrier. And Hunter sends for Donald and Donald act like he didn't want to be bothered, but since it was the president, he had to go find out what was happening. Then Victoria confronts Hunter and she says, "You had her in this house. I can still smell her." And she wants him to stop all this idiocy, the cheating and stuff she wants to, because she wants to hold on to the Oval. That's her priority. And so we get a little bit of backstory, and he's like, Hunter's like, you got pregnant after we did it once. Your crazy family made me marry you. I didn't want any of this. I wanted none of this. And then he promises Victoria, I promise you, you will never see Denise again. I'll never see her again. And Victoria's looking like, well, what does that mean? And so she leaves, and then Donald comes in, and and Hunter tells him, well, Denise is dead. And Donald's saying, well, let's get a doctor in here. Let's get some to, check her out, see what's going on. And I was like, she's dead. She's dead. And Donald's like, well, how do you know? And I was like, her head fell off her body. And I'm like, you couldn't just say decapitated, Hunter. And I'm like, so. And I thought, I said, well, this character's probably not the type that is intelligent enough to say, didn't even have decapitated in his vocabulary, because we saw in the first half of the season that he didn't even want to do any of the work that comes with being the president. And so Donald calls Kyle to see what's up, and Kyle, I guess he had finished up the cleanup, and he says, "Well, I'll be at the White House in 20 minutes." And so Lily, she's at the White House, and Jason, once again, he's lurking around the corner with no clothes on. And so Lily looks over, and then he runs when she sees him. And so Lily, she's already angry about, what's going on with Donald. So, when somebody's already angry about something, that they are going to go off if they're going to go off if somebody messes with them about something else or makes them angry about something else, they're going to really explode. So she's not having it. So she bursts into Jason's room. And he's like, "Oh my God, get out!" That's how he was acting. And she tells him, "Keep that little thing in your pants. You should be ashamed." All of that, and she just totally eviscerates him. She burns him to the ground. It's like she burned him to ashes. It's like all that was left of him was a little pile of ashes. He was humiliated. So Lily has to contend with Victoria now, calling her clothes cheap, gutter, and trashy. And Victoria's just being rude to her for no reason. And Lily's just like, she prepares to leave. And Victoria doesn't like that because she was trying to pick a fight. And she didn't like Lily just turning and leaving. So she says, "Oh, so you just let people walk all over you, all over, all." And so Lily, I guess she was like, "If you want to fight, okay, let's do it." She just says that Victoria's insecure and bullies people because of it. And so Victoria proceeds to push more buttons inside. She's like, "What's it like to be married to a gay man?" And I'm like, I assume it's be the same as being married to a man who doesn't love you. There's just nothing there at all. So I don't know why Victoria felt like she could, like she had room to say something like that to Lily, since she's basically in the same situation. The details are different, but it's the same thing. I mean, their husbands are not interested in them the way that they would like them to be, or the way that a husband should be interested in a wife. So, Lily just gives her the fact. She says, "Okay, no one wanted to dress you, so I did it." And Victoria's like, oh well, they just don't want to dress a black woman, and Lily's like, no, it was about you. They thought that you would cheapen their designs, and I'm like, so Victoria is so unlikable that the designers didn't even want to dress her. And I mean, that's good publicity for designers to have the first lady to wear their designs, but Victoria is so unlikable, the designers don't even want to dress her. So Lily just wraps everything up by telling her, you need to get that son of yours some help because that's how serial killers start. They start as perverts. Um, so Lily's leaving and Donald's coming in and he's trying to smooth things over, but Lily's like, no, no, don't want to hear it. And so he tries to get in the bedroom and Victoria won't let him in. He tries to talk his way into getting in there, because he needs to assess the situation, but she won't let him in. And meanwhile, down in the command center, I'm sorry, allergies. Sorry about that. In the command center, Kyle and Max are having a conversation, and Max is just like, he's very calm. He's telling Kyle that things are going to come back on him, and Max was almost too calm, and I'm wondering if he's the one that killed Denise because he seems pretty content for someone who just was demoted. It was like he was saying, "Well, I've fixed all y'all." So they have their little back and forth, and but let me get back to Sharon and Kareem. So Kareem wants Sharon to stay with him, and she's saying, "I can't do that. I'm having regrets." But clearly she didn't have regrets because they ended up doing the same thing all over again and just an entire mess. So, so Donald calls Kyle into the office. Was it the Oval? Yeah, it was the Oval. And Hunter wanted an update. He's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And Donald and Kyle, they're like, "Okay, so everything's good. It's fine. You don't have anything to worry about." It's as if, and they're acting as if nothing happened. And so Hunter just saw a severed head, so of course he would be upset. But Donald and Kyle, they're just like, no big deal. It's fixed. It never happened. I mean, they're just like in la la land, just insane, deranged. But I guess when you're wrapped up in all that, the people who are really wrapped up in all that political stuff, I mean, there's just certain things they're desensitized to. And so at the end, Barry's talking about, okay, so he's on the way to the pharmacy with Richard, and he's talking about, well, I'm afraid, I don't, am I going to go to jail? I don't want to go to jail. I want to find my daughter. And then he says, well, if I do go to jail, promise me you will look for my daughter. And for somebody who doesn't want to go to jail, Barry just is not very smart. So he pulls up to the pharmacy, and so and the window is just like it's very clear, and he could see what was going on in full view. And I'm like, they could have at least gone in the back or something. And so it was like Barry was like one of these cartoon characters and one of these old cartoon characters. He was like getting ready to explode with rage, and Richard's like, "What's happening? What's wrong?" So Barry just puts his foot on the gas and just drives into the pharmacy, wrecks it completely. I'm like, so if you weren't going to jail already, Barry, you're definitely going now. So that was my review of the Oval. Tell me what you thought. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you the next time.